On the Palestine Action protest yesterday, the Met has been accused of two-tier policing after forcing two Jewish men to hide on a bus at the demo. The pro-Palestinian protest group clashed with police, as you rightly said, Commissioner, in Trafalgar Square. Two Jewish counter-protesters were told to hide inside a double-decker bus as the mob chanted Zionist scum. The Daily Telegraph reports that they have video showing police warning them that waving an Israeli flag could be a breach of the peace. Is that correct, Commissioner?
So this is a couple of individuals being disingenuous in what they're saying there. They chose to walk into the middle of the Palestine Action protest and then reveal the Israeli flags. Just as if you were a Spurs fan and walked into the middle of a bunch of Arsenal fans on a heated local derby and then started waving Spurs flags, the police would hoik you out of there, wouldn't they, and say, don't be so damn stupid, you're going to start a fight. And they'd take them out of there for their own protection. It's no different to that whatsoever. It's not about two-tier policing. If they'd wanted to protest on the other side of the road and express their view, the officers would have facilitated that. But if you want to walk into the middle of something to try and create an incident, then, of course, we're going to try and protect you from yourselves and stop an incident growing. And we would do exactly the same in the opposite. If you had a pro-Israel protest going on and a couple of Palestinian supporters walked into the middle of it and wave flags, we'd hoik them out of it as well.
Can I suggest this is almost deliberate provication then of your
exactly
officers
that.
in a sense?
Yeah, and so officers have acted with great common sense and sort of and pragmatism. And it's, if people want us, and you'll have seen these big protests, and we set up counter-protest points where at a safe distance people can shout at each other and express their views and express their democratic right. But we're not going to allow one side to walk into the middle of the other to try and create a spark an incident. That's just irresponsible.
You talk me through how you saw events yesterday.
Absolutely. So I turned up to yesterday's protest and I viewed quite a few arrests. The crowd did end up getting quite violent at certain intervals. At that point, a friend of mine, he arrives at the protest to join me. And he has the idea, well, maybe we should put an Israel flag out and see how they react, just to prove that these people really can't tolerate a second opinion. So as we do, we get out a microphone and we start, and I record him as he does it, and he waves his Israel flag and says, jihadists aren't welcome here, etc., etc., etc. At that point, we're surrounded by 40 Palestine Action folk. We're constantly harassed. Somebody tries to steal our flag from us. We're assaulted at several points. This was all as the police watched and did absolutely nothing. About 2 minutes in, as I'm screaming for the police to, intervene in this situation, they eventually circle around us and grab us onto a bus where we're essentially detained because we're not allowed to leave. Whilst we're on the bus, we're told that we were threatened with a public order offence. I said, how are you threatening us with a public order offence when we haven't been threatening in any such way? And he couldn't really explain the situation. And when I tried to explain to him that we were just assaulted, that we had our flag tried to be stolen from us, he said he couldn't arrest them. He said because they would act violent. So, if that's not two-tier policing, Mr. Ferrari, I don't know what it is.
Call me Nick if you want to. If you prefer, Mr. Ferrari, it's that. Whichever. I'm just offering you the... But Isaac, to sort of use, just semi-quote the Commissioner, what were you expecting in the middle of a pro-Palestinian demonstration?
Well, that's exactly what we've come to expect, but that's not upon me to express my freedom of expression and my freedom of protest. I shouldn't be expecting assault. I shouldn't be expecting harassment.
No, I'm not asking you to expect, but as the Commissioner said, had you been the other side of the road, had you been a safer distance, but he says you chose to get in and amongst these Palestinian protesters.
Oh, that might be true, and I'm not refuting the fact that it might have been a stupid idea, Mr. Ferrari.
You call me Nick, but if you prefer, whichever you prefer. But if the Telegraph report is to be believed, you and your friend go in and among these pro-Palestinian demonstrators. You get out your colleague gets out a megaphone, ban the IRGC, rape is not resistance, terrorist supporters off our streets, and then, if I'm saying this correctly, Am Yisrael Chai, people of Israel live. Well, what did you think would happen?
Well, as we come to expect, this is exactly what we would have expected to happen, and that's why it was certainly a stupid thing to do. I don't refute that. But it is shocking to me that even though we were not acting disorderly, even though that we were not acting in any way aggressive, we were the ones that were, we were the ones that were threatened with the public order offence, whilst those that were actually assaulting us, those who were actually stealing our flag, I mean,
But when the officer of the Met says, and again, if it's quoted, you are creating a breach of the peace, Isaac, I want you to be protected, of course I do, and I don't want you to have your flag stolen, but you are creating a breach of the peace, knowingly.
I don't know how voicing an opinion is in breach of the peace. I mean, to wave an Arsenal flag outside Tottenham Stadium, is that a breach of the peace, Mr. Ferrari?
Well, no, what the point the Commissioner is making is if you're knowingly, and I think you're a bright man, I read that you're a trainee barrister, so I wish you luck with your legal career, you're a bright individual, you'll know that going in, as I understand it, with an Israeli flag secreted about your person and a megaphone, and then getting in and amongst these 500-odd people, you are creating a breach. This is an act of provocation, Isaac, isn't it?
Look, I hadn't acted provocative in any way. If voicing an opinion is provocative, this is just something we have to disagree on, Nick.
All right. Okay.
That's my opinion.
Where do we stand? Do they say they might be? Because the Telegraph headline is was a bit confusing. Are they going to charge you or not?
No, I don't believe so, no.
All right. Would you do it again?
I think I would, yes.
Why? You know it's potential breaking of the law, breach of the peace and breaking the law.
I think it just shows the double standards within our policing today. I really do. I really think that if it just by virtue of them, by them having the potential to get violent with us, that our rights are somehow, second class.
But Isaac, if you had a pro-Israel demonstration and two people came and got in the middle of you and then suddenly got out a Hamas banner and started saying, and I'm only doing this, for example, from the land to the sea or whatever, then you and your colleagues would be pretty angry, wouldn't you?
Well, a Hamas ban is slightly different. I mean, I'm not waving the flag of a designated terrorist organisation, and that would be illegal under the Terrorism Act itself.
The flag of Palestine.
Well, I don't get offended by it. I went to SOAS University of London. I mean, I saw it every day for the last 3 years. I don't have the urge to hurt people by seeing a flag. Right. I know that sounds bonkers, but that is the way it is.
I'm very grateful you phoned in. Look after yourself. I mean that. I would urge you not to get involved in that, of course, the next time you go to a demonstration, but you should be free to say what you want within certain boundaries.